Hello! Welcome back to our channel. This is the 17th episode, 3 Little Words, of the story Shadow Slave. Okay, so picture this. You've just survived a literal nightmare against all imaginable odds, right? Only to find out that your ultimate reward comes with a curse that completely strips away the very thing that kept you alive in the first place. Today, we're following Sunny as he finally crosses the threshold back into the real world, only to face a totally devastating realization about his new reality. So, grab your focus, because the stakes, they have literally never been more personal.
Just think about the sheer panic of having 3 simple, devastating words handed to you as your fate. Clear conscience cannot lie. Sunny closes his eyes and opens them again, practically praying the glowing runes will just disappear. "No, please no," he begs. But they don't fade, they just shine there, almost mocking him. Imagine being in his shoes right now. A bottomless abyss is basically opening right beneath his feet. The spell, which usually gives these flowery, over-the-top descriptions, is suddenly brutally straight and to the point. There's no wiggle room here, no loopholes at all. He simply cannot lie.
Now you might be wondering why exactly this is an absolute death sentence for a guy like him. Well, Sunny's entire existence, his very survival up to this point, has been built entirely on his ability to deceive and outsmart everyone around him. His treacherous nature is literally what kept him breathing. Without it, he's totally defenseless. But guys, it gets even worse. If he is completely incapable of lying, how on earth is he supposed to hide his true name? All it would take is for someone to ask him a few innocent questions and he'd be forced to reveal it. That would allow literally anyone to turn him into an obedient slave. It is a complete, fundamental clash between his very nature and absolute truth.
Part 1. Waking from the nightmare.
So he's panicking. His heart feels like it's just stopping, and he's right on the edge of screaming and cursing. But right at that exact moment, the spell speaks again, whispering, "Wake up, lost from light." Instantly, that terrifying black void of the nightmare spins and disappears completely. Sunny opens his eyes to the ceiling of a police station vault. And man, the physical relief is immediate and just overwhelming. It's not a pretty room, sure, but to Sunny, it's the most glorious sight in the world because it means he's safe, it means he's home. But it's not just the scenery change. His deeply wounded body is miraculously healed. That deep biting cold in his bones, gone. The agonizing pain in his wrists and feet, stopped entirely. The brutal whip bites on his back, the broken ribs cutting into his lungs, completely mended. He even pokes at his ribs just to make sure it isn't a dream. It's this incredible surge of vitality that almost brings the guy to tears.
Part 2. Meeting Master Jed.
As he's taking in his newly healed body, he just freezes, completely breathless. Sitting right there on a cheap plastic chair next to his medical bed is the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. She's this striking stranger with short, raven black hair, flawless snow-white skin, and these icy blue eyes. She's wearing a dark blue uniform, jacket casually unbuttoned over a black tank top, and black leather boots. As he watches her stretch her arms, looking kind of bored and sleepy, Sunny notices something absolutely crucial. On her left sleeve, an insignia. 3 silver stars. In his head, the gears start turning rapidly. 3 stars. That means she isn't just a regular person, or even a basic awakened. 3 stars mean she is an ascended. And right as he fully digests what a terrifyingly powerful person is sitting beside him, she catches him staring. "What are you looking at?" she asks, without a single ounce of humor.
Okay, so Sunny is embarrassed, right? So he naturally tries to rely on his greatest tool, his silver tongue. He quickly formulates a polite, perfectly calculated excuse in his head. But the moment he opens his mouth, the flaw takes over. It completely bypasses his brain. Instead of his polite excuse, the totally unvarnished truth tumbles out. He blurts out, "Your breasts!" His own words echo in his ears, and his eyes just go wide in absolute horror. He absolutely hadn't planned to say it, but his new curse forced it out. Now, it's incredibly funny for us, but for Sunny, a wave of sheer terror is drowning his mind right now.
The woman slowly smiles, but with a highly dangerous gleam in her eyes. And then, without any warning at all, smack. She strikes him across the face so hard, his head snaps to the side, and he literally sees stars. Honestly, if he hadn't been strapped down to the bed with heavy restraints, he would have flown completely off of it. And in that ringing silence, Sunny realizes the true danger he's in. She is an ascended. With a mere flick of her finger, she could have torn his head clean off. He's thinking, why did his absolute worst truth have to offend someone this insanely powerful?
She crosses her arms and just casually asks if he's properly awake now. He nods, holding his numb cheek. Then she gives him some advice. She tells him not to just blurt out anything that comes to his mind, especially to girls. Now, Sunny internally thinks a very safe, sarcastic response, something like, "Thank you, I definitely will not." But you guessed it, once again his mouth moves completely on its own, and the absolute truth comes out instead. He says, "I've seen plenty, but no one as beautiful as you." He flinches back immediately, his face turning red as a lobster. He literally cannot control his own mouth.
But surprisingly, instead of getting angry this time, the woman stares at him for a second and then just bursts into laughter. She tells him, "I see you haven't met a lot of awakened then. By awakened standards, I'm below average." Sunny looks at her like she's completely crazy, but she explains a really fascinating piece of the world's lore here. Basically, as your soul core develops, the body actually purges and gets rid of all its physical imperfections. Because of this, it is genuinely hard to find an unattractive awakened, especially when you get to the more powerful ones.
Part 3. The Hierarchy of Carriers.
So, with the tension broken, she officially welcomes him back to the land of the living and congratulates him on surviving his first nightmare. And she grants him a brand new title, Sleeper Sunless. It's incredibly weird for Sunny, you know? Before this, he was just boy, punk, or hey you, but now he's a sleeper. And this actually brings us to how this world's progression really functions. First up, we have the sleepers. When their spirit enters the spell, their physical body falls into a deep slumber in the real world for days, sometimes months, until they escape the dream realm. Next, if they survive that, they become awakened. They live normal lives during the day, but every single time they fall asleep, they return to the dream realm. Then, moving up, we have the Ascended, colloquially called Masters. This is exactly what the woman in the room is. They are incredibly powerful. They can physically travel between the real world and the dream realm whenever they wish, not just in spirit. And finally, at the very top of the food chain, we have the Transcendent, known as Saints. They possess basically demigod-level power and can even take other people with them between worlds.
Part 4. The Cost of Duty.
Bringing us right back to the present moment inside the vault, the beautiful Ascended stands up and begins undoing Sunny's restraints with practiced hands. She formally introduces herself as Ascended Jet, but tells him he can just call her Master Jet. She reveals that she's been watching his sleeping body for 3 whole days. But here's the kicker. She's not there to be a nurse. The protocol is simple, and it's ruthless. If the sleeper dies in the nightmare, a nightmare creature erupts from their body in the real world. That means Master Jet was sitting there for 3 days acting as an executioner. She was just waiting to see if he would wake up as a human or if she would have to put him down as a monster.
Naturally, Sunny is terrified to speak, but his curiosity completely overrides his fear. He asks her directly, why would an elite master be doing guard duty? Isn't that way below her pay grade? Master Jet gives him a really dark look and lays out the chaotic state of the world just outside the police station walls. The winter solstice is approaching, and because of this, gates are opening frequently all over the sector. Most of the local awakened are either occupied with cleanup, heavily wounded, or sadly already dead. On top of that, very few awakened are actually willing to work directly for the government because it offers abysmal pay and terrible hours compared to the other factions. She looks right at Sunny and asks a very pointed question. Would you abandon wealth and fame to work abysmal hours and risk your life, all for altruism and a sense of duty? Now, Sunny obviously wants to give her a flattering, noble answer to stay on her good side. But his flaw kicks in, for the final time in this encounter. He looks her right in the eyes, smirks, and his mouth blurts out the brutally cynical, completely selfish truth. He says, "Of course not. I'm not an idiot." He instantly curses his flaw, bracing himself for another massive slap.
But that slap, it never comes. Instead, Master Jet just stares at him with a humorless expression before a small smile finally breaks across her face. She says, "See, I was right. You really are smart." It's crazy. But in a weird way, his complete inability to sugarcoat things, that unapologetic honesty driven by the curse, actually earns him a measure of respect from an incredibly powerful master.
Which leaves us with a truly fascinating problem moving forward. Sunny has survived his first massive hurdle, and he's officially been minted as Sleeper Sunless. But he is stepping into a chaotic, stretched-thin world full of deadly politics, powerful awakened, and terrifying nightmare creatures, and he has to navigate all of it without the single tool he relies on most. So how on earth is a compulsive liar going to survive a world of monsters without his greatest weapon? It is definitely going to be an incredible journey to watch unfold.
If you like the story, please like and share it, and subscribe to the channel to watch future episodes. Thanks for watching.